before here, and we've heard him at our dinner, Carl Setzer. Welcome.
So my campaign manager's gonna be real mad. I'm gonna take the sport coat off, but you have me on film, you can give it to Dr. Patterson. John Patterson, I wore a sport coat. So when I look at the anger in this room, I've been coming here for about a year. The first time I ever spoke in this room, I was uninvited. I was sitting in the back corner, and somebody asked the AFL-CIO rep, what can we do to convince the working class to stop voting against their own interests? And I yelled out, stop calling them morons. And I meant it then, and I spent the entire year around the district trying to figure out how we can make it actually meaningful in the 2026 election. Because when we look at the last people to leave the Big Tent, it's the working class in this country. And when I say working class, I don't just mean unions, but they are the heart and soul of our labor. But we also lost manufacturers, we lost fabricators, we lost tradesmen, and we lost an interest in teaching those things to the next generation. My father was a journeyman tool and die maker for 40 years. He told me from when I was a little kid, don't work with your hands. So I went to college, I went to graduate school, I racked up a lot of debt, I traveled the world, and then I walked away from all of it to be a brewer because I love working with my hands. I wish somebody would have told me that a little bit earlier because it would have saved me about $170,000. But when I look at everybody in this room, I see the heart and soul of Lake County, and I see a lot of people that come from a lot of families that weren't originally from here, and I see a lot of people that worry about what's going to happen to their kids, to their grandkids, and to themselves. So my three-party platform, my platform policies for my campaign are simple. Medicare for all is an amazing idea. It was an amazing idea when Bernie Sanders taught us all about it in the 2010s through his presidential election. It's an amazing idea now. It is also the easiest thing to convince the working class to never support, because all the Republicans have to do is look at the working class and say, you're going to pay for them. So how do we kneecap that? How do we get around it? We give Medicare to all W-2 and W-9 employees. Anybody that wakes up in the morning to go to work and earn a wage and pays into our tax base should not be subjected to private insurance. They should be expanded into the Medicare program. What that will do is add between 120 and 140 million healthy, hardworking Americans that deserve to never think again about the word insurance. If their kids want to go out for the soccer team or play football, if they want to be able to go out and do something crazy that they've never done before, they should never think, I can't do it because I might get hurt. The second thing that I believe in is a revolution in workforce development. We need to give kids an option that is not just college or feeling like they didn't get into college. How many people in this room know someone or have said the words themselves, I ended up in this job, but the money's good? That should never be uttered by an American. We should learn what we don't want to do as quickly as possible and figure out what we do want to do. That should be supported in the last 2 years of high school, and then an expanded internship program for the 2 years after high school when you're young and you can live with your parents, before you make the bad decision, before you realize a 400 credit score is not a good idea. And then during those 2 years, you get to do 6 months at 4 different vocations that you picked during high school when you realized what you didn't want to do as quickly as possible. You get rated, and then there's a draft. And when you're 20 years old, whether it's splatterless MIG welding, or pipe fitting, or HVAC, or front of the house, back of the house for a restaurant or law enforcement, you get to experience the dignity as a 20-year-old to go home to your grandmother or your mom or your dad and say, someone bid me up to $26 an hour and I start tomorrow. We deserve to have the most efficient distribution of our most valuable natural resource, and that's our human beings. And the third thing I believe in is, please stop calling me if I didn't ask you to call me. We all deserve to have a consumer bill of rights. The average Ohioan gets 40 unsolicited spam calls a day. Why can't I turn it off? Why, if I say the wrong thing during the wrong moment, when my mind is on something else, to a stranger over the phone, I could lose my bank account, I could lose the equity in my home, I could tank my credit score. That's un-American. And so those are the three things that I believe in that will win this race. But there's one other thing I want to say. After listening to all of the words that were said today about immigration, I was an immigrant in China for 16 years. I was not an expat. I learned the language, I paid my own utility bills, I had to do the visa renewals every year, and I built a business. And then I came here and I watched my wife become an immigrant in America. She's married to me for 13 years. We had to sit in a room and prove to a stranger that we were in love. Why? If people want to come here, pay into our tax base, support our economy, and be a part of our community, why do we make it a felony? Why do we drag people out of their car? But I will tell you, I was raised in an extreme conservative community. The biggest fear the Christian nationalists that raised me had was masked, federally funded, armed militias dragging you out of your home. Do not be afraid to go to Ashtabula and knock on the door of the house that has all the flags that you hate and just say, hey man, why are you mad? What are you afraid of? And how close are the things that you're afraid of to what we're doing in the streets in Minneapolis right now? As you can tell, I can be intense. We are in an intense time as Americans. We need to build more community. We need to remember what it means to be American, and I will fight for that. Dave Joyce is not my friend. He is a styrofoam cup with the letter R written on it. He makes everything you put in it that much less interesting. Just Dave just isn't good enough. If you want to fight, and if you want to stop getting kicked in the teeth every 2 years at the ballot box, please support me, because I will fight with you and for you until I have nothing left. Thank you.